Hello everyone. See? Today on stream, I want to go over the information related to the artifacts coming at Legion. I was pondering if I should or shouldn't do this, considering that I'm so very late to catch up on all the information from the website. But when I was reading it, it was just too damn good and I couldn't pass up on it. Those that follow me on Twitter, you probably know my reaction while I was reading these artifacts. Now, I'm going to read out the information from the website. I'm going to give a little bit of a background information or speculation when it's appropriate. And I'm doing this on stream so that I can directly take in questions and feedback from you guys in the chat room. So if we're talking about an artifact and you have questions about the artifact, I can immediately answer it instead of, yeah, I know this about the lore and this is it and that's just it. So I'm hoping that this system will give as much clarity as we can with the artifact system. Now once all is said and done, I'll upload this to the YouTube where you can just sit down, watch it at your own time. If you missed out on anything, that's perfectly fine. I'll even put in some references for videos that might be related. Like if we're going to talk about the Ashbringer, I've done the full story of the Ashbringer. So I'm not going to go in full details in that one. So I'll just link to the story of the Ashbringer and you can check it out there. But I will mention something that is, you know, interesting to me. Now keep in mind that we're going to talk about information related to Legion. So obviously spoilers are sure to come. If you don't want any spoilers for Legion, then let me just say right now, thank you very much for tuning in and I hope to see you in a different video. Right, chat room and people on the YouTube, are you ready? Shall we dive right into it? Is there a drinking game for this? Every time I say either Dark Riders, Titan Keepers, or check out the story of the Guardians, take a shot. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. Then we are ready to begin. On screen right now, you see the very first artifact, which is for the Blood DK, called Maw of the Damned. An ancient Legion X forged from a metal that drains its victims' vital energies. The soul of its original creator is trapped within and cursed with unending hunger. Frostmourne hungers. For more than 1,000 years, an old and cunning Moarch has used the axe to butcher uprisings and consume the life force of the Legion's foes. Over this long and infamous history, the weapon has made a demonic bearer extraordinarily powerful. Now, a side note, like I had to look up like what was the Moarch again. If you remember from the Burning Crusade, like those big blob monsters with like the Sablaw as hands, those are the Moarch. And besides that, I don't have much special to say about the Maw of the Damned. Moving on to the second one. Oh, it works. Beautiful. For the Frost DK, we have Icebringer and Frost Reaper, crafted by the Burning Legion to corrupt the world of Azeroth. The soul-stealing Runeblade Frostmourne was shattered by Ashbringer atop Icecrown Citadel. Countless souls were freed from the broken blade, but others were not so fortunate. Today, the Shards of Frostmourne can be recrafted and infused with even more power. However, the spirit still trapped within must first be subdued and bent to the wielder's will. Someone asked if we, during the panels, if we would see Bolvar in Legion, right? And they mentioned that he would make a little cameo. So I don't think it's hard to imagine that this cameo is going to be during this questline. As we're going to get the Shards of Frostmourne, you're going to make this weapon. I'm sure that Bolvar, or at least I'm not sure, but I'm speculating that Bolvar will play a part in it. You have to wonder though, like, whose soul was unlucky enough to stay trapped within Frostmourne? And we have no idea who is going to be, what they'll come up with. I don't think it's going to be King Taranis, since if you remember the cinematic at the end, his soul seemed to be disappearing at the end of the cinematic, right? He's free, he flows away, and he's like, at long last, my son, it's finally over. Uther the Lightbringer, he showed up when you turned in the quest item, like when you kill the Lich King with Shadowmourne, you can open up the chest, you can turn the item, and Uther is like, okay, I'll remember Arthas as he was, and I'm moving on now. So I don't think it's going to be those two. And I came up with like the Spirit of Ner'zhul. And I don't think that it's gonna happen because it's simply too cool. Like how cool would it be to have like the Spirit of Ner'zhul inside that weapon that you have to subdue? Like, get in there Ner'zhul, you bend to my will now. Or Dranosh Sourfang. Dranosh Sourfang. Like, I think that would be freaking epic. Some people in the chat room mention Arthas. We know that Arthas' soul has made it to hell. That has been described in Sylvanas' short story. Arthas' soul is there. Renaud Mograine was not killed by Frostmourne though. Renaud Mograine was struck down by his father as he came out of the Ashbringer. So, yeah, it's up for grabs like what spirit is gonna be, but it's freaking cool. And I think Dranosh or Ner'zhul, something like that would be really awesome. Like, is Ner'zhul in the helmet? Yeah, as we speculate that he's in the helmet, but Ner'zhul's fate is up for grabs. We have different sources with different ideas. Some say that Ner'zhul was gone for good. Some say that he's still trapped in the helmet. You know, it's pure speculation. There you go. And then, the final one, Unholy. Let me grab my picture here. Unholy gets... Apocalypse! Vampiric demons, known as the Nafrezim, also known as the Dreadlords. They forged this ancient sword, which brings with it violence, plagues, and death. Apocalypse soon earned a horrific reputation in the hands of a Tirisgard mage, who could not control its destructive energies. In time, this sword was seized by the malevolent Dark Riders, servants of Medivh, the corrupted guardian of Tirisfal. They hid the blade in the catacombs under his home, the Tower of Karazhan. Now I was trying to find out, like, what exactly Tirisgard is, but I couldn't find any details on it yet. It's not hard to imagine that it's somewhere linked to Tirisfal Glade, right? Now the Dark Riders, I talked about this in one of the Q&As, but the Dark Riders will show up a few times when you're talking about these artifacts, and it's not surprising when you know their backstory. The Tower of Karazhan was of old a place of light and the abode of Medivh, the greatest wizard of his day and humanity's intended custodian. But Medivh was revealed to have been possessed by the dark spirit of Sargeras, and after his death the tower became a twisted place of nightmares. Haunted by phantoms and revenants, and perhaps worse, if the rumors are to be believed. But it is said that before he was killed, while under the control of Sargeras, Medivh had hosted some traveling merchants who attempted to cheat him by selling him counterfeit artifacts. They fell under his wrath and he cursed them, and to this day they make that haunted place their home, riding out to collect artifacts of legitimate power and returning to hoard them. It's not known what curse Sargeras laid upon them, or if they're undead or not, but it is known that they sit on a vast storehouse of lost treasures that should benefit the world, not rot in an accursed larder. Now this is told in the comics by a gnome named Brink, and this is the comics called The Dark Riders. In the comics they go into Karazhan, they're going to go to retrieve some artifacts. We might finally see more of the Dark Riders, actually face them off. If you remember Lord of the Rings, like those Dark Riders from Lord of the Rings that were going after the ring, that's pretty much what these guys do. These artifacts call out to them, they go out to retrieve them, and they bring them back to Karazhan. So we might see Brink, we might see more of the Dark Riders, and to go into the freaking tomb. Like, if those upside down sinners are still there, mwah. So that is for the Death Knight's artifacts, ladies and gentlemen. Are there any questions that I didn't catch so far? Did a Mograine soul get sucked in by Arthas in the DK starting area? Yes, but if you do the quest line with Shadowmourne, you actually get either blood or like the soul of Mograine, and he shows up at Darien, and he's like, Darien, thank you so much, and he's like, Daddy, I would give my life 10 times to save you. So his soul should be saved. So anything else about the demon artifacts? Could Tirisgard be the fabled area under the Tirisfal Glades? I'm guessing more of a town or an area, not so much the area underneath. We'll get to the area underneath Tirisfal in a moment. Oh, the blood was Sylvanas. There was a soul piece, though. I'm pretty damn sure that it was a soul piece. Okay, can you recall any big-time lore characters that could probably be stuck in there still? Paladins of the Order of the Silver Hand. Some of them. That's about it, to be honest. Like, big-time lore characters. Sunstrider. Not Kil'Thuzad, but his father. And Astarion Sunstrider. He was killed by Frostmourne, right? Maybe. But it could just be random spirits, to be honest. Do you think this Nafrezim has something to do with those demons in the demon... I'm focusing on the artifacts right now, Scormac. Sephiron. I'm not sure if it works for dragons, though. Melganis is not in there. Melganis actually showed up during Wrath of the Lich King. in the questline, so Mal'Ganis was not taken by Frostmourne. He didn't actually die to it. He's a Dreadlord, so he returned to the Twisted Nether. What about Yogg-Saron? Do you think he's gonna appear while you do any of the DK quests or talk to you? Would be freaking epic. Absolutely, there's been a lot of speculation about Yogg-Saron connected to the whole Lich King storyline. Would be amazing, man. Next artifacts are for the Demon Hunters. For Havoc, we have the Twin Blades of the Deceiver. These glaives belong to the former demon hunter Varadis Felsoul, once a member of the Illidari and a sworn enemy of the Burning Legion. He was slain at the Black Temple. By us, by the way. After the Legion's leader, Kil'jaeden, revived him in the Twisting Nether, Varadis surrendered to the demon within him, forsaking his mortality. In the process, he and his glaives were infused with great power by Kil'jaeden's Eredar allies. Now, I've talked about Varadis in my story of the Demon Hunters. He was the Blood Elf prodigy of Illidan. Like, Kil'Thuzz gave Illidan a bunch of Blood Elves to train. A whole bunch of them died, a few of them went mad. But Varadis was like the prodigy. He rose up. He was just brilliant. And we were put on the task, on a quest line, to find like this tome where you had to rip out the pages. And we took care of Varadis. So we're the ones who sent him to the Twisted Nether, where Kil'jaeden captures him, and he's now part of their team. He isn't quite done yet. He embraced the demon inside. Then for vengeance, we have the Aldrachi Warblades. In ages past, the Dark Titan Sargeras offered the mighty Aldrachi people a place in his Burning Legion. But the Aldrachi proved incorruptible. They slew innumerable demons before the race was wiped out. Sargeras personally killed their greatest champion and seized his weapons. Much later, a demon hunter willingly became the servant of Sargeras' lieutenant Kil'jaeden. Pleased, Kil'jaeden bestowed the Warblades on her, that she might wield a portion of the Aldrachi's bygone might and devastate the mortals of Azeroth with it. Oh, sorry, I didn't, damn it, I didn't change the picture. Hang on. There we go, Aldrachi. Now, on a side note, the Aldrachi, they're a new race of people that we haven't heard about before. It mentions in the description that it's a female demon hunter, and as far as I know, the only female demon hunter in existence that we know about is the one that trained Varadis, and she's called Alandine. She was one of the mentors for Varadis until he surpassed them all, and once again, we were put on the quest to take them out, possibly send them to the Twisted Nether, possibly send them right into the hands of Kil'jaeden. Now, this is just speculation. It could be a completely different female demon hunter, we don't really know. But that's the one that I could find. Right, chat room. Any questions for demon hunters? Can Sargeras change how large he is? If he calls so big he can cut down whole planets. I'm pretty sure he can. Archimonde and Kil'jaeden can as well. Did we loot Illidan's Warglaives? Why does he still have them? Gonna be awkward, but it would be weird to see Illidan without his Warglaives, right? Are demon hunters born blind? No, they carve out their eyes. Check out Story of the Demon Hunters, mate. What about the demon hunter you fight underneath the whirlpool in Darkshore? What about him? That's not a female though, that's a male. Didn't that book have all the demon names in it? Yep. Yep. Could you imagine any other race of demon hunters in the future? Not for now though. These are specifically Illidari. But keep it to the artifacts, everybody. Keep it to the artifacts. Alrighty, we're gonna move on then. Next artifact is... Bum-ba-da-bum. Bum-ba-da-bum. Who's excited? Raise your hand if you're excited! Ladies and gentlemen, for balance, we have the Scythe of Elune. Or was it... No, it was Scythe. I need to check. Like, I usually say Scythe, but it's Scythe because it's Cypher. Gotcha. Scythe. This mystical artifact was created millennia ago from the Staff of Elune and a fang from the wolf demigod Goldrin. The Scythe of Elune carries a long and unsettling history for druids. Those who are not careful enough can easily be overwhelmed by Goldrin's spirits, which infuse the scythe. Tied to the origin of the Worgen on Azeroth, this scythe is said to possess untold lunar power for the druids, with balance enough to keep control. Right, for this one, I actually had to do a fair amount of research, because I have never done the story of the Scythe of Elune. But this weapon deserves a video on its own, similar to what I did with the Ashbringer, because it's very, very cool. In short, what happened? Once upon a time, druids started to mess around with a new form that they called the Pack form. The savagery that they embody, like Goldrin's spirits, It was uncontrollable. They even tried to create a powerful artifact to help them gain control. They combined the staff of Elune with a fang of the demigod Goldrin, creating the Scythe of Elune. You might remember Goldrin from Cataclysm questing. In Mount Hydro actually shows up like the whole wolf spirit. That's Goldrin right there. And Varian's nickname Logush also means like Goldrin and Ghost Wolf. He also has the spirit of Goldrin inside of him. That's besides the point though. Now in the end, it turns out that they simply couldn't control their pack form, and Malfurion was forced to banish these druids of the Scythe, as they now called themselves, or Worgen, as we would later know them, to the Emerald Dream. Now many years later, a mage named Arugal, he summoned the Worgen from the Emerald Dream into Azeroth to fight against the Scourge. Again, they couldn't control them, and the Worgen turned on the Gilnean people. Once more, they tried to use the Scythe to send the Worgen back to the Dream. They were unsuccessful in doing so, but they did win the day, and the Worgen, they either dispersed or they were killed. Now, last we've seen of this weapon, of this artifact, was in the hands of a Night Elf priestess called Belisra, but apparently, we're getting our hands on this very, very powerful artifact. What does it have to do with balance runes exactly? It's about keeping balance within you, like not giving in to the fury of the Worgen. An embodiment of lunar power and Goldrin's ferocious spirit. That's the whole storyline behind the Worgen. Actually, if you do the whole Gilnean questline, it's all about finding your humanity again and a whole balance between letting out your inner beast and keeping your humanity. Can it still make more Worgen? No idea. I doubt it. Wouldn't it still have the power to summon Worgens? That would be very cool though, if that's like a special ability that the Scythe has. That would be amazing. Like you slice and then you open up like a little vortex to the Emerald Dream. That would be really cool. But as far as we know, the Worgen in the Emerald Dream, we might actually run into them during the game, if that zone is added. But they should be in slumber. They should be in slumber. Why is it lunar powered if it's actually about balance? It's both. It's lunar, the staff of Elune, that's the lunar side of it. The priestess that I was talking about was a priestess of Elune, so she got like the lunar power, and then Goldrin is like the ferocious spirit with the fang of Goldrin. And what is the staff of Elune? That I have to owe you as an answer, Mifosama. I think it was just a staff that they had. For Feral, fangs of Ashamain. Ashamain? I hope that's the way you say it. The massive grey panther Ashamain, one of the first wild gods, was one of the many to answer the call of the demigod Cenarius and defend the world of Azeroth during the War of the Ancients. She fell in battle against the Legion, but saved countless lives in the process. A great shrine was built in her honor in Val'sharah, and her fangs were adorned and put on display there. It is said they still carry much of her power. Now, during the War of the Ancients, if you have never read this book yet, you should definitely do so. There was this moment, right, where they were trying to get like as many allies as they could, and Cenarius did his very best to convince the other demigods to join him in this battle over the fate of Azeroth. And you had all kinds of demigods show up here, like this massive pig demigod that was charged of this boar demigod that was charging in, and he got all demons on spiked on his back. And even when he was slain, he was like rolling around and killed more demons. Goldrin also showed up, and you had Malorn, if I remember correctly. But apparently this Ashamain, even though not described in the book, she was also there fighting this massive battle, and she fell. We get the fangs. Gonna be the artifact. Can I use this and my Firecat from Firelands? I got no clue, mate. I doubt it. I mean, I'm sure that you can use your weapon, your artifact weapon, but I don't think you'll be able to use like both forms, right? Would be cool though. Alrighty, no questions, easy peasy, moving on. Number 8, Claws of Ursoc. Forged from Titan steel by the Titanic Watcher Keeper Freya, these claws were her gift to the great bear Ursoc, one of the wild gods, also known as demigods. He wielded the claws in countless battles until his death during the War of the Ancients. Although his body faded away, the claws remained, and legends say a fragment of his spirit lingered within. After wrestling the claws away from Ursoc's Furbog followers, a band of druids took the claws to the Emerald Dream. They sought out Ursoc's spirits, and they returned the claws to him for safekeeping. Now, I don't have much to say on this one. I think we all remember Keeper Freya from Ulduar. If you don't, a little later on down the list, I will go further into the Titan Keeper storyline, and we'll go further into those details. That bear form though, right? How freaking amazing does that look? Oh, man. And we have seen Ursoc. Have we seen Ursoc? I think so. There was a quest line. I'm gonna say Wrath of the Lich King with the Corrupted World Tree, where we actually helped out Ursoc and his children. Isn't Ursoc the spirit we had to talk on the Druid's Bear form quest? I believe so. Did Eshamain exist before this artifact? She was not specifically described, so she is created for this, yeah. Grizzly Hills, there you go. Yup. Alrighty. How are druids able to handle the power of the demigods? Shouldn't they be too powerful? Well, they're not exactly handling all the power of the demigods. They have like artifacts that embody the power of the demigods, like claws and fangs and all that good stuff. Alrighty. I think that's it. Moving on. Like, I don't want to rush it too much, but we have so much to go through. Next up, we have, for restoration, Janir, the Mother Tree, or G'Anir. This is a single branch taken from Janir, the first tree, which was gifted to mortal druids by the demigod Aviana long ago. Its connection to the mystical Emerald Dream serves as a healing and stabilizing influence on the world of Azeroth. In recent times, druids have used this staff to hold back the corruption and madness of the Nightmare. As a result, satyrs within the Nightmare are desperate to see Ganir destroyed. Now again, during the War of the Ancients book, we have a moment where I believe Kresis meets up with Aviana, and they spend some time in her tree where all kinds of winged creatures, they're flying around them, and this is where they find their afterlife. The toy that you could pick up in Warlords of Draenor, Aviana's feather, that's named after her, and it gives you golden wings to fly around with, which she also gave to Kresis, which allowed him to fly. Really, really cool. Now, the original World Tree Nordrassil, the one that was blown up during Warcraft 3, the one that originally gave the Night Elves the immortality, that was created or grown out of an acorn, which in turn came from Ganir. Aviana sounds familiar. Yeah, Aviana's feather, the toy. Aviana showed up during Mount Hyjal questing. So yeah, Aviana has popped up. It's like the one that looks like a harpy, that demigod. And questions like, why isn't it related to this and this and this? Why did they go with this artifact? I can't answer that, matey. I don't know why Blizzard chose this one over the other. I can only try to explain a little bit about the story behind them. Can we grow a new world tree from this staff? I think we'll need like a nut instead of a branch. I'm not very familiar with how gardening works, but I don't think that if you put a tree branch in the sand or in the soil that then a tree grows. But yeah. She's also in Hearthstone. Yeah, absolutely. Is it from the World Tree for Warcraft 3? No, the acorn that they used to grow the tree, that was taken from Ganir. And the tree that was grown, that was the tree that blew up in Warcraft 3. How many world trees are there? I think like 4 or 5, something like that. You just gotta believe, right? It worked for Groot. You can if you get rooting power, right? Awesome. Moving on. Number 10. Ooh. Hunters, Beastmaster, Titan Strike. A peerless example of techno-magical engineering, the Titan Strike was designed by Keeper Mimiron, a titanic watcher and brilliant inventor. Securely housed in the heart of the rifle, a relic known as Thunderspark powers the Titan Strike, harnessing the essence of storm and focusing in a concentrated blast of energy. The rifle's power source can also be credited to Mimiron, who devised it for his comrade Keeper Thorim in ages past. Again, I have not much to add to this one, since it just relates to the story of the Keepers of Ulduar. Now, for those that don't remember it, like I said, I was going to talk about it. How it all went down back during Wrath of the Lich King. In short, we had the Keepers of Ulduar, who were charged with, amongst other things, keeping Yogg-Saron imprisoned, the old god Yogg-Saron. Now, Keeper Loken, he became corrupted, and he started scheming against his fellow Keepers. Freya, Hodir, Mimiron, and Thorim. He started internal wars, until eventually even they were corrupted or manipulated by Yogg-Saron, and as you might remember, we went into Ulduar, we knocked down the door, we smacked some sense into them, we pushed the red button, and together we pushed the old god back into his prison. We didn't kill him, we just put his physical manifestation back into his prison. There was another keeper supposed to be there, but we'll talk about him later on. So that's like the characters that created this weapon. It's gonna be like a massive boomstick. Like, I think it looks pretty damn cool. Did they make that relic up just for the artifact or it actually exists before? I think this one was made up, to be honest. Beastmaster's so bad about the gun, it looks so bad. So basic, not even worthy of trying to get upgraded models to transmog it. Really? Are people salty about this one? Alright. I did not know that. What would this have to do with the BM spec? It's just a shiny Titan gun by the looks. Hang on, I can look that up. I'm sure that they made like a description for that. Hang on, Legion artifacts. I'm sure we can look that up. Why did they choose this weapon over others? Because they gave like a description. Just didn't write it down, but it did give a description. Beastmaster hunters are uniquely bonded with the beasts they hunt, blurring the lines between predator and prey. To offset the dangers they face in the wild, they wield the Rifle Titan Strike, a techno-magical and engineering marvel perfect for staying on target. That's why you get a gun. It's perfect for staying on target. It doesn't shoot bullets, it's a laser gun. I don't know what you guys are crying about. I don't know either. I thought it looked pretty cool. But hey, everybody has their own taste, right? Moving on, next one. Marksmanship, oof. My. Tasdura, legacy of the Windrunners. A proud heirloom of the Windrunner family, Tasdura was carved from a bough of the mother tree. Bough? I hope so. Was carved from the mother tree of Everstone Woods, shortly after the elven kingdom of Quel'Thalas was founded. Handed down to the eldest of each generation, the bow was last wielded by the High Elf Ranger, Captain Alleria Windrunner. It disappeared along with its owner, following the destruction of the orcs' homeworld Draenor and the subsequent formation of Outlands. Now, I've done the story of Alleria and Turalyon, so if you want all details, I've done a video on it. Basically, she joined the Alliance of Lordaeron as they went through the Dark Portal to stop the Horde from causing any more damage to different worlds. You'll hear more about that coming Monday during the story of Ner'zhul Part 2. It's actually really cool. Now, nobody has seen Alleria for years, and she's simply gone missing after the events of the novel Beyond the Dark Portal. So, apparently she's going to make a return in Legion. The how and the why and the what is uncertain, but according to this artifact, she's ready to hand over her bow. So I wonder if we're actually going to get it from her herself, or if we'll find it somewhere in the Twisting Nether. Because if you remember during Warlords of Draenor, there was actually a quest line that sent you into Shadowmoon Burial Grounds, and we found like a little piece of Alleria's memento, or like a little piece indicating that Alleria was there. And I speculated at the end of my Demon Hunter video that, you know, it was a massive speculation, Alleria and Turalyon through the Twisting Nether. So who knows how that's gonna go down? But we're gonna get Alleria Windrunner's bow for marksmanship. Questions? Would Alleria hand her bow over to an orc just like that? I guess so. Well, it depends. Like I said, it depends if she gives it in person, or if the bow just shows up out of the Twisting Nether. Like, we don't know where we're gonna pick it up. So this is how we're going to meet Alleria? Same answer. There's a quest chain tied to Alleria, but that means on her return she has no major role. Depends on how it all goes down, everybody. Like, it could be that she shows up herself and be like, hello, hunters in the class hall, here's my bow. Or something else might happen, and we really don't know yet. I wonder if Sylvanas will say anything we have it equipped. That would be so cool. Like, how did you... Is that... Have you... I'm gonna murder you. Resurrect you. And murder you again. But if that's Alleria's bow, that means she didn't need it anymore. She's dead. Could be she's dead. Could be she hands it over herself. Could be that it pops up out of Twisting Nether. Could be that it just magically appears in front of you. The how, the what, and the why we don't know. And of course, if you don't know who Alleria is, check out the story of Alleria. If you don't know who Sylvanas is, check out the story of Sylvanas. Moving on, number 12. Survival. Talon-Claw, Spear of the Wild Gods. Wild God. The High Mountain Torrent crafted this spear, which predates the first demonic invasion of Azeroth more than 10,000 years ago. Talon-Claw's wielders have fought alongside many guardian animal spirits, also known as Ancients, or demigods I assume, to defend the world of Azeroth and its wildlife in particular. Over the millennia, these ancients have bestowed their blessings on the weapon, imbuing it with a portion of their power. Now, when I was working on the original script for the artifacts, I believe that they called this weapon the Eagle Spear, and some of you pointed out that this spear could belong to Huln Highmountain, also known as Huln of the Eagle Spear. This was a Tauren, again, the novel War of the Ancients. He was fighting in that battle, they recruited help to fight against the Legion, and he and his clan, they showed up to defend the world. On his weapon, they would carve out markings that describe the history of the weapon, the feats of its previous owners. And in the book, nice little detail, Jared Shadowsong saves this Tauren's life. And the Tauren tells him, like, I will carve your name on my weapon. So, if this is truly the same weapon, like from Huln Highmountain, I hope that Blizzard remembers that minor detail, that if you zoom in on the weapon, you can actually see like Jared was here on the weapon. That would be amazing. That would be really, really cool. How are we actually getting the weapon in the game? It depends per weapon. Like we know for the Shards of Frostmourne that you're going to go to Icecrown, you're going to collect the Shards of Frostmourne. It's going to be a quest line. It's going to be part of your entire experience throughout Legion. And right from the get-go, this is going to be your weapon. It's going to grow with you. We don't know all the details for all the weapons. Some we can speculate about. Like this one will probably pop up somewhere in, I don't know, Highmountain. Or somewhere else. We don't really know. There's one that you're going to go into like a Tomb of Neltharion, I think. Or some Tomb of a King. Like some are speculated, suggested. Others are, you know, up for grabs. Jared was here, right? Do you plan on doing all the artifact quest lines in Legion? I'm hoping so, yeah. I probably won't have the time for it, but I hope so. So the Tauren were really on the War of the Ancients. I thought they were only elves. In the original storyline, there were only elves. In the time travel storyline, the War of the Ancients, that actually changed our history, the Taurens were there. Yeah. So you get 2 artifacts with dual spec. I think so. I believe that like the warriors get like 2 weapons. I think so. I love Jared. Why 90% of the artifacts have Lore Keepers or Titan Keepers influences? Because Legion is going to be heavily influenced by Titans and Titan Keepers. What does the Ancients mean? Anything specific? Demigods, right? There's no dual spec. Oh, I thought they were gonna get like that they asked about warriors, like I wanna wield 2 hands, but whatever. Get your drinks out, everybody, if you're doing a drinking game. For mages, Arcane, Aluneth, Great Staff of the Magna. Aluneth was most notably wielded for a time by Aegwynn, the only female guardian of Tirisfal, although stories indicate that it is far older than she. She is said to have found the staff roughly a century after she took up the mantle of Guardian, and to have wielded Aluneth in many battles against the Burning Legion. Several years before relinquishing her title, she retired the staff, but none know where she might have stored it. Now I was surprised to see that Aegwynn actually used a different staff than Aetish, because Aetish is like, you know, the signature weapon of the Guardians. But it's a cool little detail. Really, really like it. Now according to the story as it is today, with the comics, Aegwynn sacrificed her life to help out her grandson Madan by cleansing Aetish and allowing him to defeat Jokal. As far as we know, that story is still canon, unless Blizzard says otherwise. So I wonder, like with this whole storyline of the weapon, like only Aegwynn knows where she stored it. Is her spirit going to show up? Is it going to be retconned that she actually died? How are we going to find the location of this weapon? Very exciting stuff. And for full details on Aegwynn and Elodie and the Guardians, I've done a 3-parter on the story of the Guardians. Check that video out. So Aegwynn isn't human. Yes, she is, but she used her magic to extend her life. The Kirin Tor, or at least the Council of Tirisfal actually called her out on that. They're like, no, don't do that. She was like, I don't listen to you. Aegwynn was like, I'm gonna do my own thing. The Guardian was unknown to most humans, so it easily only meant him. Elodie used Ebb and Chill, so assume they all have very powerful individual weapons. True, but then again, Elodie was never described with Aetish. Like, Elodie's story was entirely done in the comics. I think it was up to somewhere before Agewind that they started using ATs. But like I said, I just expected her to use ATs because any and all fan art that I've seen of her was with ATs. I just thought it was a nice little detail. There's an undead NPC, sorry, called Alumeth. Any connection between the weapon and the undead? Not that I know of, but I can check it out. Alumeth. Alumeth Wowpedia. Alumeth Scepter. Alumeth the Ascended, yeah? Ooh. Ice Crown. Could be. He just doesn't seem really connected to it though, but he could be. Doesn't Khadgar have ATs now? Yes, he does. Yeah. Will this be on YouTube? Absolutely. Alrighty, moving on. Next artifacts. Moving on. Number 14. Oh, Blood Elves rejoice. For Fire Mages. Fellow Malorn, also known as Flamestrike in his native tongue, Fellow Malorn was born into battle by members of the Sunstrider family as they proved their valor in the War of the Ancients during the Troll Wars and against the Death Knight Arthas Menethil, sorry. After it was destroyed, Prince Kil'Thuzad Sunstrider reforged the sword to be even stronger and used it against the Lich King, trading several blows with the demonic runeblade Frostmourne. Ultimately, Kil'Thuzad was forced to retreat and the sword was lost in the frigid wastes of Northrend. Now, to be fair, like this description, I just read it and I just realized it. It says, used it against the Lich King, but by that time, Arthas wasn't merged with Ner'zhul yet. So he was just still the Death Knight, but I guess it's just a better way of wording it. Now, I've done a full story on Kil'Thuzad Sunstrider in which I talk about this weapon. The fun fact about it, it was broken by Frostmourne, right? As Arthas went into Quel'Thalas. He was like, hello, I'm gonna use your Sunwell now. And the King Anasterion was like, no, you're not. But he was old. And the blade was actually broken. But Kil'Thuzad reforged it. And despite other weapons, like other weapons where you reforge it, it's weaker. Elven blades actually get stronger from reforging. But even though it was reforged and stronger and he was boasting about it, it still was no match for Frostmourne. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Killstrike, right? Killstrike. Didn't he fight 2 times against Arthas? Yeah, he did. He popped up earlier in Warcraft 3. Well, not really fight. It was more like taunting, like haha, and then they fought in front of Icecrown. Why don't the elves keep breaking their blades and just constantly reforge it, right? How do we obtain it? It was lost in Northrend. Like, Kil'Thuzad was forced to retreat and the sword was lost in the frigid wastes of Northrend. Maybe someone picked it up. Maybe we're gonna go to Northrend to find it. Who knows? Was it just a normal blade before it got reforged? No, it was epic all along. You know how these legendary blades go, right? Like 5 times and it increases item level by reforging, right? Are we going to dig it from Kil'Thuzad's corpse? No. Kil'Thuzad died on Outland, man. And then he died on the Isle of Quel'Salamping. Quel'Salamping, that's that one right there. Moving on, number 15. Ebon Chill for Frost Mages. This great staff was wielded by Elodie, the first guardian of Tirisfal. So you have Elodie, Agewind, Medivh, Medan. And probably a few in between. He bore the staff into many battles against Legion forces for the century in which he served as a guardian. Then he stepped down from the role of guardian, but he retained the staff to his dying day. Upon his passing, the Kirin Tor stored the staff safely away, for fear what might happen if a lesser mage attempted to wield its power without the ability to control it fully. Now again, like I said, check out the story of the Guardians. Take a drink. Now they've hinted here and there that we'll discover more of the secrets within Dalaran as it moves closer to the Tomb of Sargeras and the Broken Isles. More and more stuff is gonna go down into the city. We'll find out what exactly is keeping it safe against like demonic threats as it's chilling down the Broken Isles. And as it turns out, the Kirin Tor's got like a whole bunch of artifacts stored there. We already knew they had like a vault. But damn, Kirin Tor! Share some of the loot, so very exciting what's gonna happen to Dalaran. I also wonder how this is gonna connect to Jaina's gonna be pissed, and then Khadgar's gonna take over. But Jaina is going to be there on the Broken Isles, and Dalaran's gonna be there as well. Exciting stuff. So yeah, questions, ladies and gentlemen. Is Khadgar the Guardian now? He walks like the Guardian, talks like the Guardian, not confirmed yet. How many Guardians has there been? Many, but not all are described. 2 Guardian staffs and Fire Mage get a one-handed poker. Well, to be fair, it's a pretty epic poker though. They have the body of Medivh powering the shield. Wow. Grinded out those drops, they earned their loot, right? Moving on, number 16. Hello, monks. For Brewmaster, Fuzan, the Wanderer's Companion. Long ago, as the Titanic Watcher Keeper Freya set out to populate the world with life, she placed one of the first seeds in Pandaria. From it grew Fuzan, the first, and all of Pandaria's forest descended from it. Before populating the rest of Azeroth, Freya fashioned a walking stick for her travels from one of Fuzan's branches. Eventually Freya passed her staff to the Jade Serpent Yu'lon, who later gave it to a uniquely clever Hosen. The Monkey King, as he was called, hung his most prized possession from the staff, which he carries with him to this day. Monkey King staff, everybody. Very, very cool. Now, I actually called this one during the... well, speculated about this one during the Q&A for artifacts. Like I said, we already picked up the staff, the Monkey King, for him during questing in Mr. Pandaria. At the time, the item description said that we weren't powerful enough to wield it, but apparently now we are. Now, what I found really interesting is that Keeper Freya, the same one from Ulduar, she was not only charged with keeping Yogg-Saron in his prison, apparently she also wandered the world and populated it and grew forest everywhere. Really cool to read about that, so they had more missions. Now, if you want to know more about the monkey stuff, like I don't have a specific video on the monkey stuff, but check out a movie called The Forbidden Kingdom. If you want a little bit more side story behind the monkey stuff or the Monkey King, I love that movie and I can highly recommend it. When did we get the staff from the Monkey King? We didn't get it, we collected it for him during Mr. Pandaria. There was the whole quest line with the Divine Bell and Anduin and the Monkey King. That's when we got it for him. Why would the serpent need a walking stick? Well, you know, she can turn into a panda, but maybe because she was like wise enough to know who should hang on to the thingy. I don't think the Monkey King will give us the staff. Maybe we steal it, kill him, or trick him. Mistweavers, Shai'lun, Staff of the Mists. During last Pandaran Emperor's reign, a prophecy arose that a ruthless legion would invade the world of Azeroth and leave it shattered. To save his people, Emperor Xiaohao embarked on a series of trials, taking with him the ancient staff Shai'lun. I hope I pronounced it right. Afterwards, he used his newfound wisdom to become part of the land. He made Pandaria into a separate continent and enshrouded it in mist to protect it. His staff clattered to the ground, where it lay until the monks of Qian Monastery found it and took it to the Terrace of Endless Spring for safekeeping. Now, this entire storyline, if you haven't checked it out yet, The Burdens of Xiaohao, a Warcraft production, it's beautiful. It's really, really cool. Definitely worth checking it out. It's up on YouTube, free to watch. Now, those that played during Mr. Pandaria should be definitely familiar with this storyline. Now, what I found interesting in this description is that it says he made Pandaria into a separate continent. Now, I always assumed that it was simply the Sundering, like after the War of the Ancients, the whole world started to shatter. I thought that that was the reason why Pandaria became a continent of its own. But apparently Xiaohao was so freaking powerful that he not only shrouded his land in mists, he freaking tore it off and he was like, bye! I thought that detail was really cool. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Was Xiaohao a Fistweaver? I don't think you can really define lore characters in that regard. I think Xiaohao was like a little bit of both, or a little bit of all of them. If Xiaohao used the weapon to cleanse Pandaria, if we removed it from Pandaria, would Pandaria be corrupted? Because we know the old gods can't die, right? The thing with the whole Sha infection, Mr. Buff, that's the one old god that actually died. And in order to kill him, he was first struck down by like the Titans or the Titan Keepers. Then they put his heart into a container and safeguarded it. Garrosh absorbed that power, and in the meantime, his final breath attack of Y'Shaarj infected the land of Pandaria with the Sha. We come in, we kick the crap out of Garrosh, we kick the last remaining essence of Y'Shaarj out of him, and now over time, the land of Pandaria will actually heal, and even the Sha infection will be cleansed. See you nerds, your problem now, right? It was him who broke the shiz off. Alright, I always understood it was like the Sundering. My bad. I thought the Shaw the Demons were like, F that, I'm out of here, and that's when he separated Pandaria, so before the Sundering. I was like, I thought it was during the Sundering, but that's my misunderstanding then. Windwalker, Fist of the Heavens. Thousands of years ago, the famed... I love this one, by the way. I love this one. The famed Tolvir smith Irmaad crafted a pair of magnificent handblades. Unsatisfied with his work, Irmaad tried to capture the essence of Alakir, the Windlord, to infuse into his blades. Alakir was not amused. Despite the smith, Alakir poured unspeakable amounts of raw elemental fury into the handblades. When Irmaad attempted to unleash their might, a great vortex sprung up, engulfed the city, and scattered the weapons to the winds. Now, I don't have much to add to this, but I just thought that the line like, Alakir was not amused, and I was reading this and I just imagined Alakir with like from the frowny eyebrows, right? Like, I'm not amused. Not amused at all. Stop trying to get my essence. I just, you know, came to my mind, especially with his whole sun being absorbed. It was kind of cool. But I don't have much to add to this weapon. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? I think we'll meet the new Windlord when we get these weapons. Alakir's dead, isn't he? Yep. Will we meet him? I have no idea, mate. Would the weapon fit a Handsome Shaman better? Yeah, I don't really have an answer for that, ladies and gentlemen. It could be, but it also fits a monk, like to use, like, fists, right? Paladins. Myclaws. For Holy. The Silver Hands. As one of the Titanic Watchers, Keeper Tyr bore this weapon in countless battles against the Titan enemies. When one of his fellow keepers, Loken, fell to corruption, Tyr and his allies stole the discs of Norgannon to investigate the extent of Loken's betrayal. Discovering the theft, Loken sent horrific monsters after Tyr's group, but Tyr sacrificed his life to fight the creatures while his comrades escaped with the discs. His hammer was lost with him somewhere beneath the land now named in his honor, Tirisfal. This was the keeper that I was talking about earlier during the whole Ulduar bit. This was the one that was missing during Wrath of the Lich King. Now we know what happened to him and the discs that they're talking about. We actually saw these discs way back when during Classic. You can find these in Ulduman as they explain the origin of the Earthen and Dwarves. They have a whole bunch of knowledge in them and we actually accessed the discs. I thought that was really cool. Blizzard has also finally decided to put something under Tirisfal because in a previous interview with Jesse Cox, they said that at that time there simply wasn't anything there and they still had to come up with something. Now we know that part of it is Tyr's weapon. It will pop up again later on in the description, but at least now we got like a clue as what is beneath Tirisfal, which is named in honor of the fallen Titan Keeper Tyr. As he went down there. Tyr has also played a big part in the creation of the dragon aspects. In the novel Dawn of the Aspects, he, together with the Protodrakes at the time, the Aspects Protodrakes, they fought against a massive proto-beast called Galagrond, or Galagrond, I hope I got that right. I always confuse Galagras and Galagrond, but whatever. Massive Protodrake, they took it out, and by doing so, the future aspects became the aspects. As Tyr made contact with the Titans, they received their blessings, and they became the dragon aspects. After that, we didn't really hear about anything about him, but apparently whole Loken's corruption, the minions that were sent after them, this is where Tyr laid down his life and sacrificed himself. That's how it ended, apparently. Or maybe he will show up again, because in Dawn of the Aspects, they actually communicate with like a spirit that some speculate was an image of Tyr. There are going to be 2 Titan Keepers, new Titan Keepers in Legion, and I've only found 1 in the description. Maybe. Who knows? Any questions? I love you too, Tyr. How big is this hammer gonna be when we find it if a Titan Keeper held it? Just the right size for us to wield it. Like, it should be massive, right? But, you know, things can change size. So, yeah. Is Tyr the WoW Atlas? Could very well be. Could it be that Tyr's under Tirisfal guarding the hammer? Maybe. I thought Tyr died in Darkshore. Was that another Titan? Those were giants, mate, not Titans. They actually updated the questline with Cataclysm. They were giants. Who is Norgannon? Norgannon is the lore keeper. Oh, frick. Or was he, I think he was the lore keeper, Norgannon. Hang on. Yeah, there we go. Norgannon is the Titan lorekeeper and master magician. He is also known as the Dreamweaver and the keeper of celestial magics and lore. He's part of the Pantheon. Pantheon is like the organization that leads the race of Titans. Titans are like roar. And Norgannon was the one that granted the blue dragon aspect Malygos a portion of his powers and turned him into what he was. I thought you were the lorekeeper. Norgannon is Nobble's dad. I wish. Love you, Mr. Norgannon. Then, for protection, we have Truthguard. The Titanic Watcher Tyr and Arcades created this shield when their comrade Loken fell to corruption. They gave Truthguard to a Vrykul champion who used it to expose Loken's treachery. When Tyr and his allies later stole the discs of Norgannon and fled, the champion stayed behind and held off many of Loken's servants. A desperate Loken sent horrific monsters after Tyr, who fell in combat. In time, the Vrykul champion migrated to Stormheim in the Broken Isles, where the shield was eventually entombed in the Path of Kings. Now, this Vrykul champion is unnamed, and we don't know about him yet. And apparently, he worked on trying to expose Loken's treachery, and of course Loken didn't want to be found out. He wanted to corrupt the other Titan Keepers, he wanted to do his schemes. So he sent these minions after Tyr, after, what was he called? Arcades, there we go. And he sent these minions. Now this, if you've caught the information of the panels, we're actually gonna see like the afterlife of the Vrykuls. We're gonna see Valhalla, and we're gonna see Helium? No, not Helium, I'm sure chat room can help me out here. The one with the boat. Helheim, there we go. We're gonna see like these areas. So I wonder, like the Vrykul champion might be dead, but did he earn his place to feast amongst the legends of the past? Or did he, you know? Could be really cool to see him again, but whatever. That's where the whole shield thing comes from. Now again, the discs, if you remember Uldaman with Arcades. Arcades was actually the one guarding the door before you get to the discs of Norgannon. And he wasn't really corrupted, he was just pissed because we were the wrong people to try and open the door and awaken him. So we smacked some sense into him and we actually went there. Which I thought was kind of like funny, like we kind of took out Tyr's buddy there just to get access to the disc, but whatever. Now these horrific monsters that they were sent after them, no details are given. It could very well be like faceless ones, we've seen them many times before. Loken was working together with Yogg-Saron, or at least he was corrupted by Yogg-Saron. Could be faceless ones. Could be something that, you know, we'll see. If we ever meet Norgannon and he doesn't say hello everyone like Nobble does, I'm gonna be depressed. Ah, where is the Path of Kings? Path of Kings? Good question. Let me go to Wowpedia so I can actually give you the proper answer. It's somewhere in the whole Vrykul area. Path of Kings, Legion. No, not the Way of Kings, the Path of Kings. Did somebody in the chat room catch up right now? I'm sure somebody in the chat room knows it as well. No, it wasn't High Mountain. It was the whole area where Stormheim. Wasn't it in Stormheim? I'm sure it wasn't Stormheim. Excellent. There you go. Broken Isles in the description. It's somewhere in the new area. That's where we're gonna find it. Alrighty, moving on, ladies and gentlemen. To the final one for the Paladins. Are you ready for this? Oh, this is my spec. I'm gonna be an Ashbringer. I'm gonna wield an Ashbringer. I'm gonna wield an Ashbringer. I'm gonna wield an Ashbringer. So happy. King Magni Bronzebeard forged the Ashbringer from a piece of crystal purified by wielders of the Holy Light. This gave the sword strange light-bearing powers. It was named for its ability to slaughter undead, leaving nothing but ash in its wake. Ashbringer passed through several hands, serving both light and shadow, before it came to the legendary paladin Tyrion Fordring, who used it to shatter the Lich King's runeblade Frostmourne on top of Icecrown Citadel. Tyrion has carried Ashbringer with him ever since. Now this description is the short version. I have done a full video on the Ashbringer, which I highly recommend to check it out. But Magni did not only forge it. By the time that Magni created this weapon, he thought that his brother, Muradin Bronzebeard, was slain. So when he hammered away on the weapon, He thought about his brother, he thought about vengeance and hatred and sorrow, and he put all his emotions in this weapon to create the mighty Ashbringer. In the hands of Mograine, it did devastating damage, betrayed by his son, picked up by Darien. The father came out of the blade and killed the betraying son, and then the whole storyline, really cool, check out the video. And then it came to Tyrion, who, if you remember the Death Knight starting area, Darien was like, Tyrion! Tyrion was like, "Sup? Catch!" And then he was like, and he uncorrupted the blade. Oh. And he, you know, pushed back Arthas, and then the whole top of Icecrown, where it was like, "Light, give me one final blessing." And like, BAM! Frostmourne shattered. So freaking cool. So, just saying, Death Knights, you're getting like shards of Frostmourne. We're getting the weapon that like shattered Frostmourne. Oh, I was logged out. Here we go. Just saying. I mean, I'm not holding a competition here, but whoop whoop, Ashbringer. Now, fun fact, right? Or fun fact, little thing that I noticed is that it says Tyrion has kept the weapon on him ever since. Which I was like, okay, that's cool to put in there, but why? Like, what's going to be the reason that we're going to pick up the weapon? You know, what's going to be the reason that Tyrion is going to hand over the weapon if he gave it ever since? So, that's a good question. Only time will tell. Despair, death, maybe he's just tired. You don't know. The man's been around for quite a bit. And then there's another bit where there was a screenshot with the whole reforging plan. And there was a description where Magni once forged the weapon and he can reforge it again. Which a lot of people ask me like, Noble, is Magni gonna come back? Because right now he's a crystal and Iron Forge. He could come back. It could also be a Caverns of Time kind of thing. Like we go back in time to the moment where it was crafted. It could also be that we make contact with him because his spirit is one with Azeroth. We don't know. So, that's up for speculation. We don't even know if it's going to make it in, because it was like a panel thing. But we'll see. Any questions about the Ashbringer, as I just geeked out proper about it? Why was Magni crystallized again? Just around the Cataclysm time, they tried to figure out what was going on with the world. They used an ancient Titan ritual to communicate with the land. And instead of communicating with it, he became one with the land. Hang on, come here. Hey, come here. Don't move, chat room. There we go. What was Prince Fordale's connection to the Ashbringer? Is that the crafter guy? No, only thing that it says here was Fordale Drin was implied to have known the location of Ashbringer before Noxramas was implemented. Furthermore, the Chandelier Zealots believed that if someone would defeat Nefarian and tell the tale to Folderin, he would reveal Ashbringer's location, as Folderin has a great interest in Blackwing Lair. Like, this is before they actually implement the Ashbringer into the game. And a lot of speculation was like, where can we find it potentially? So that's that, but it was never implemented. Do you think there's a possibility to corrupt the Ashbringer or get its skin in Legion? I freaking hope so. Could the Ashbringer heal if it struck allies? No. Like Darien struck himself with it? Didn't heal him. He was turned into a Death Knight. Is Magni really dead? His spirit is one with the land. If he's dead or not, you know, it's a magical world. Anybody can come back when they want to. Can you explain what the corrupted Ashbringer is? It is a corrupted version of the Ashbringer. As in, when Renaud Mograine betrayed his father, the blade got corrupted and turned to darkness. Check out my story of the Ashbringer, everybody. Moving on, because we're already 1 hour and 15 minutes in. Oh, that's not too bad. 1 hour and 15 minutes. Almost halfway. Or how many do we have? We're on 22 out of 36. Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good on time. Hang on, I need to cough 2 seconds. There we go. Priests. Priests. Ned Pagle is the Ashbringer, right? Priests. Discipline lights Wrath. Obsessed with cleansing undead from the world of Azeroth, the fanatical Scarlet Crusade tried to create a second Ashbringer in the form of a staff. However, a Dreadlord who had infiltrated the Order intervened, interrupted their efforts and triggering a violent magical explosion. The damaged staff's power proved nearly uncontrollable. After several wielders tried and failed to use the staff safely, the elite magi of the Kirin hid it away, lest it unleash further deadly calamities. So the description, it says just Dreadlord, but considering that we know there was the Dreadlord Balnazar that infiltrated Scarlet Crusade, I think it's safe to say that it was Balnazar's doing, but they keep it vague. Not sure why. Again, we see that the Kirin Tor is hiding away all the good stuff, all the good artifacts. Yeah. Any questions? Did this Dreadlord have a name? Was it Jaina? It's Jaina. Jaina Dreadlord confirmed, right? Jaina! Curse you, Jaina! Number 23. Holy Tur, Beacon of the Naaru. As beings of holy light, the benevolent Naaru rescued the Draenei from their homeworld after most of its people were transformed into demonic recruits for the Burning Legion. Demons nearly overwhelmed the fleeing Draenei, but the Naaru protected the refugees with his beacon crystal. Tur channels the light's essence into healing radiance, regenerating horrific wounds and bringing people back from the brink of death. Ultimately, the crystal was lost to Legion forces on an invaded world. It hasn't been seen since. So, the origin story behind this, if you checked out the story of Velen and the Draenei, you might know this one, or Kil'jaeden, or Archimonde, or Sargeras. Origin story, man, we just keep going back to it. Either way. Sargeras made contact with the Eredar. Velen, Kil'jaeden, Archimonde offered them power if they joined him, and he gave them fake visions. Velen wasn't sure what he was going to do, he didn't really trust the situation, and they had this crystal, this Atamal crystal, given to them millennia ago that they didn't even know where it came from anymore. And a voice whispered to him, like, touch the crystal, and as he did, he saw visions of what Sargeras was actually planning to do. If they would all join Sargeras, the world would be doomed, they would become Man'ari, something twisted and corrupted. So Velen was like, uh-oh, we gotta get the frick out of here, but how? And the Naaru told him, gather your people on the hill, we will come for you. So Velen reached out with telepathy to get to his people. He gathered as many as he could, but one of his friends betrayed him. And, you know, the ones already converted were ready to take him out. But then the Naaru came down and they shone a light and he was like, save us. And I believe that that's the moment where he like put up the crystal. And it then shattered in 7 different pieces. But it was also like a scala of light that protected them. Now these 7 Atamal crystals, Velen was told to bring them. As they went into the ship, the international transporting ship called Genedar, I believe. Later known as the Sacred Mountain of Oshu'gan in Draenor. So he brought these 7 crystals, and that's a little bit of what confused me during this description, because it says like a beacon crystal. So I was like, that must be the complete Atamal crystal, but it's probably one of the 7. That's what's lost on the planet. We're gonna go somewhere to retrieve that and get the weapon. Any questions? Night Elf Priest gonna have a Naaru stuff? Yep. Like this is just general priestly stuff, yep. What will Anduin wield? I got no clue. Probably his own weapons. He got like Fearbreaker. Does he still have Fearbreaker though? Yeah, he got it back. I think it can't be the whole crystal since we already got one of the shards in the inventory. Exactly. It has to be the split up. It was just, the description was confusing to me, right? It was like this beacon crystals. Do you think the quest will lead to a revelation as to the origin of the Naaru? Could be. We're definitely gonna dive into the whole Titan origin storyline. Definitely gonna be part of it. Now this one. Oh boy. Shadow Priests are getting some love. Xal'atath. Xal'atath. Blade of the Black Empire. This terrifying dagger was made from the claw of an old god eons ago, and Dark Priests used it for ritual sacrifices during the height of the Black Empire. After the fall of the old gods, Xal'atath was hidden away by cults. It has surfaced from time to time over the course of history, inevitably associated with some horrific ritual or disaster. The blade has a will of its own. It uses powerful void energies and mind magics to warp everything around it for some nefarious purpose. Now, a side note, I had to actually look up this whole Black Empire thing. Like, what the frick is the Black Empire? I had an idea, but apparently it was mentioned before the whole Legion thing during the Mist of Pandaria launch livestream. The Black Empire. The Black Empire was one of the first primordial civilizations on Azeroth, lorded over by the Old Gods and their lieutenants, the Elemental Lords. There were a number of races comprising the Empire, such as the Faceless Ones and various proto-insectoid humanoids. The Akir, who later split up into the Karaji, the Nerubians and the Mantids, they are remnants of this ancient species of insectoids. So basically this whole Black Empire was ruled over by the Old Gods before the Titans came down, smacked some crap out of them and put them into prisons. So that's basically the Black Empire. Now I have to say, really, the Shadow Priests are getting some mad love during Legion, man. This artifact is incredible. The whole insanity system, where you freaking tap into the Void and the Old Gods and you transform as you use your power. Wow, I think it's high time that Shadow Priest actually gets some lore. And I really hope that they dive deeper into this and actually explain how that all came to be and how that all happens. I really hope that will be fleshed out during this expansion. Anyways, artifacts, questions. Is it related to Zalatov, Desecrate Image of Gorhal? It looks similar. It's also connected to Old Gods because the Desecrated Image was created with the powers of Y'Shaarj. So in that way, yeah. Will the blade whisper to you if you don't kill something for a while? I hope so. Like, that's actually a very good question. A general theme that you time and time again see with these artifacts. You will have to unsatiable hunger. You will have to quelch the spirits within. The spirits within will come out and you can restore your mana. It seems like these weapons are living beings, living creatures. So with that in mind, like, I'm not gonna go to the Ashbringer, but like, is Ashbringer gonna whisper to us? It's a very cool theme. The Old Gods ruled together over an empire, so they weren't warring against each other. They were warring, but then again, like, I think it's more a description of they ruled the world with their power. There was simply nothing that could stand up to them. There were no real empires to compete with them. So the Black Empire was more like the Black Age, where the Old Gods ruled the world. Do you think that the claws belong to the 4th Old God? Hard to say. Could be cool. Do we know who was the Old God that the dagger was made of? No, not defined. If Shadow Priests are tapping into Old God powers, then why would the Alliance and the Horde be okay with this, since the Old Gods are known as a universal threat? Similar reason why they are okay with Demon Hunters and Death Knights, or Warlocks. Use the weapons of your enemy against them. Confirmed an artifact will talk to you. Really cool. Could the new Shadow Priest artifact be of interest to the Cult of Forgotten Shadow? I assume so. Like, I wonder how they're gonna change or add to the lore that we already know with the Shadow Priest, with the Cult of Forgotten Shadow. Like I said, I really feel like Legion will drop some love for the Shadow Priests. Alrighty. Moving on to the Rogues. And apparently we got now Outlaws? Whatever. First of all, Assassination. Anguish and Sorrow. The Orc Warlock Gul'dan had these daggers made for his personal assassin Garona. The blades are set to drink blood and inflict traceless poison, leaving little sign of their grim work. They're perfect tools for an assassin. She used them to carry out countless atrocities while under Gul'dan's control, including the murder of Stormwind's King Lane, whom she had befriended. Afterwards, in anguish, she asked a trusted ally, Metal Winterstorm, to help her hide the blades away, in the hope that they'd never have to be used again. Now, there was already a dagger. Like, I talked about this artifact during the Q&A, where I talked about the artifacts. There was already a dagger, implied that that was the dagger used by Garona to kill the king. Drops of Yogg-Saron, but apparently these are the daggers that were actually used by Garona. Now, those that did the legendary questline during Worlds of Draenor, you're probably very familiar with Garona Half-Orcan. She's half-orc, half-Draenei, created in order of Gul'dan, and she was forged into this ultimate assassin. She was trained, magical spells placed on her mind, she was magically aged, and she was sent off to do his bidding. Now, over time, Garona got in touch with people like Khadgar. She befriended him, she got in touch with King Lane, she befriended him. She even had a child with the corrupted guardian Medivh, but in the end, those magical spells placed on her mind, they caused her to betray the king and murder him in front of young Varian Wryn's eyes. Now, Metal Winterstorm, or Metal Fellstorm as he should be known by now, he was present in the Warcraft comics, right? He's part of the Medan storyline. Garona's child is actually Medan, and she gave up Medan to Merrill to raise him because she feared that those spells on her mind would you know, turn her into a threat against her own son. Now, Meryl was, as far as I know, never in-game. He never received a model. And I wonder if Legion is going to change that, since this guy is freaking badass. This guy is, he's got like Kafra Natir inside of him, like a demon, which he willingly accepted. He was part of the first Guardian storyline. He was part of Medan's storyline. This dude is epic. He resurrected himself with his own magic. I would really love to see this character in-game. Right, everybody, questions? How are they able to leave a large trace? What do you mean, Ohampim? If we see Meryl, do we see Medan? Hard to say. If Meryl is canon, is Medan? Yeah. As far as we know, Medan and that whole storyline is canon. Until Blizzard says otherwise. And please keep the questions to the artifacts that we're talking about, everybody. If we do a spec, can we do the quest for our second spec, or is it just our main spec? You can do all specs, you can do all the artifacts that you want. And I even believe that if you, once you've leveled up an artifact for your own main spec, they'll even add like mechanics that will allow you to easier upgrade the next artifact. But don't quote me on that one. Medan is really bad canon, but he's still canon. Kind of a young artifact. Wouldn't it be weaker than other artifacts? Yes and no. I mean, I don't think it's going to be easy to compare certain artifacts with each other. Like, how do you compare something like Frostmourne with an Ashbringer, even though I just did that earlier? But how do you compare that to something created out of the scales of Neltharion? I think each and every one of them will have their own power, and to compare them would be to compare two characters with each other. It's impossible. Like, power level is dictated by what the story requires. Right, Varian, what you got there? Rogue, nothing. Hides dagger. If you do see Medan, would you be happy or sad? I know you don't have much love for him. I would be happy, because it could give explanation to how Khadgar became the Guardian and hold that entire storyline. But you know, Medan, discussion for another time. Moving on. For the Outlaws. Yeehaw! You get the Dreadblades, Fate and Fortune. Shortly after the Cataclysm, Admiral Eliza Goreblade discovered a pair of ornately crafted cutlasses inside a recently unearthed wreck not far from Booty Bay. Though the origin of the blades are unclear, their power was not, as Eliza quickly made her name known pillaging countless ships across the Great Sea, none able to best her in combat. Rumors spread amongst pirates and sailors about the Dreadblades, the most common ones all agreeing that they are cursed, and that, if they should ever stop feeding or being fed new victims, they'll claim their owner instead. You are a pirate. Like, this is all I have to say about this, ladies and gentlemen. I could not find Eliza Goreblade anywhere, so that she's new. I could not find these cutlasses. I could not find the Dreadblades. But Outlaws are going to be partying with pirates. Yahar! Right, since we're all spamming emotes, I don't think we have any questions. Cool, moving on. Nice and easy. Arv's sister confirmed, right? Do you have fear in the origins? Any connection to the Dreadlords? I was thinking about it, because they need to be fed, right? Frostmourne hungers. But the whole feeding of the blade, if you look at Maw of the Damned, the Death Knight artifact, has a similar description. So I think it's just an easy, you know, idea behind it. Origin, I like that they connected to the Cataclysm. If you remember the cinematic where, like, the wave crashes over Booty Bay, and that's part of the reason why there was, like, an unearthed wreck not far from Booty Bay where she found these cutlasses. That was really cool. But the whole details and nitty-gritty of it, I love the image though. But what I see is, like, the rogue is holding, like, massive daggers, but then there's, like, the cutlass. But I've seen the cutlass in the previews as well. I think they look really cool. So do you think that the Blades claimed her? I think the Blades are going to claim her. I think the questline is going to be like, feed me, I'm hungry. And then she'll try to feed us and we'll be like, nope. And then the Blades turn on her and we claim them. But that's top of the head canon. Canon. Yep, that's top of the head canon right there. That's top of the head speculation right there. Subtlety. Fangs of the Devourer. Gormal the Devourer, Sargeras' personal hound, claimed countless lives before it was eventually ambushed and killed on another world long ago. Following the hound's death, Mephistroth had its fangs crafted into two powerful daggers that still carried with them some of the potent, withering essence that made Gormaw's bite so deadly. These daggers were passed to Akari, one of Sarger's most deadly assassins, who wields them to this day. Now, I had to look this up. The Mephistroth that they're talking about is a Dreadlord that we've seen in Warcraft 3. If you remember the cinematic where like the Dreadlords, they convene and they talk with each other. He was the Blue Dreadlord, and apparently he's gonna make an appearance. Yay! He's finally doing something. Which I thought was really awesome. Now the rest of it pretty much, you know, speaks for itself. There was apparently Gormal the Devourer, Sarger's personal hound. The Thief was used to create 2 powerful daggers, and that's what you're gonna wield. The rogue will be a walking mess, part pirate, part Nia, but I think, like Preach Gaming said, that the looks of the sub and assassin weapon should be swapped. What do you think? The sub and the assassin weapon switched? Yeah, maybe it's personal preference, to be honest. But I still need to look up the whole class changes. I haven't had the time for it. Tomorrow, I'll talk about it later. 28! Ooh, shamans. Elemental. The Fist of Ra-Den. Aman'Thul the High Father, leader of the Titan Pantheon, entrusted his greatest servant, High Keeper Ra, with this artifact, which could channel the fury of the storms. Ra used it to bestow life on the Titan-forged Mogu race, and he wielded it in battle against the Black Empire for years beyond counting. Later, lost to Ra, the weapon was ultimately recovered by the August Celestial Swen, the tiger, who saw its immense and dangerous power and chose to safeguard it until someone worthy could take up the weapon in a righteous cause once again. Now, what I really liked about this description was that it's nice additional lore for High Keeper Ra-Den. Apparently he was like their most loyal servant. If you remember Ra-Den from Mr. Pandaria, he was like the optional boss in the Throne of Thunder. He bestowed life upon the Mogu, and one of them, you might have heard of him as the Thunder King, Lei Shen. He turned on Ra-Den, imprisoned him, and we kicked the crap out of the Thunder King, we kicked the crap out of Ra-Den. All of that happened during Mr. Pandaria, and really, really cool in my opinion. I think you're missing a few letters there. It says there High Keeper Ra. It says there right there in the description. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Why didn't they make the elemental enhancement switch? I mean, Doomhammer duplicates itself now. Thrall was more of an elemental than an enhancement. Because that's the choice they made, matey. I can't give you a clear answer on that. Do you think that Ra-Den will join us in Legion? Maybe. Maybe part of this questline? Who knows? So Swen didn't think of giving a weapon when the Shah was killing everyone? Nah. You know, comparative threats like Shah here, Burning Legion are there, so you know. Ra-Den is the name the Mogu gave him. Well, maybe. These artifacts can create life. These specific ones imbued the Mogu race with life, yeah. Any thoughts as to how we'll obtain it? Ooh, hard to say. Travel to Pandaria, meet up with Swen and be like, yo Swen, I read on the WoW website that you got some mighty weapons for me. Can I have them? Are you worthy? Yeah? Then fight in my arena! Kill 100! And they kill 100 and he's like, go to Ra-Den, he has them now! And then we ask Ra-Den nicely, and then he says no, and we poke him in his wounds. He's like, ah, okay, fine! And then we get him. That's how it's gonna go down. Oh yeah! Den means master, so Ra-Den is Master Ra. Perfect. Okay. Who's excited about this one? Who's excited about this one? I'm gonna assume that the feeling is like 50-50. I'm gonna assume that some people are gonna be very excited about the Doomhammer, and some people are like, what? For enhancements, we get the Doomhammer. Forged in elemental lava on the Orc homeworld of Draenor, this massive hammer is connected deeply with the elements, and its true power is only awakened in the hands of those who can speak to the elements in kind. The Doomhammer was long wielded by Orgrim Doomhammer, one of the greatest Orc warriors of the Horde, and now rests with Thrall, one of the most powerful shaman Azeroth has ever known. The prophecy of the Doomhammer. The last of the Doomhammer line will use it to bring first salvation and then doom to the Orcish people. Then it will pass into the hands of one who is not of the Blackrock clan. All will change again, and it will once again be used in the cause of justice. This is the prophecy behind the weapon, and it speaks of the storyline where Orgrim Doomhammer, he first took control of the Horde during their first invasion of Azeroth, as he found out that Gul'dan was actually manipulating the Horde from behind the curtains, and that Black Hand was just his puppet. So Orgrim was informed by Durotan, and he was like, okay, I got to do something. So he stepped up, and he first brought them salvation, and then ultimately his honor, because Gul'dan separated himself from the Horde to go to the Tomb of Sargeras to raise the Broken Isles. And Doomhammer was all about honor, right? He set it upon himself to eradicate dishonorful things like that. So he sent a party away to go after Gul'dan, and this lost them the... So did you see that spit, by the way? I don't know if you did. But this lost them the siege of Lordaeron. They were pushed back all the way to Blackrock Mountain, where they eventually defeated. They imprisoned Doomhammer twice. He escaped twice. And then he met up with Thrall, where Thrall, you know, escaped from his own internment camps. He met up with Thrall. Doomhammer was stabbed in the back. He gave Thrall his armor. He gave Thrall his weapon. And then it would pass on to one who is not of the Blackrock clan. All will change again, because Thrall reformed the Horde. And once again be used in the cause of justice, as Thrall has done. So yeah, that's how that all went down. Now with the prophecy fulfilled, it seems like Thrall is ready to hand over his Doomhammer. And similar to Tyrion... Sorry everybody, didn't mean to spit on you. But similar to Tyrion, you have to wonder, how and why is this going to go down? Is Thrall going to despair? Is he going to die? Is he like, okay, I'm done, I'm tired, you have my Doomhammer now. Who knows? And what I saw in the preview, now I don't know if that's where you're gonna pick up the Doomhammer, but it seemed like a cave in Deepholm with like a demon next to it. It looked really cool, so I really wonder how that's all going to go down. Now a lot of people ask me, is this going to be the alternate version of the Doomhammer? And I think this description pretty much says clear out that it's Thrall's weapon. On top of that, the alternate version should not have the Frostwolf symbol on it, which this Doomer has. No, well, Thrall's a kid. I'm sure he can't deal with saving the world with Doomhammer and a kid. Well, then he should have stayed home during Mr. Pandaria, and he should have stayed home during Wars of Draenor. And he still went. Moving on to Restoration. This one came as a surprise. I was thinking Neptulon. Scepter of Azora. Scepter of Azora. A powerful scepter, created by Queen Azora long ago, before her transformation into a Naga. The scepter swirls with waters from the Well of Eternity prior to its corruption, granting the scepter great magical and restorative powers. Talking getting hard, everybody. The scepter of Azora was lost during the War of the Ancients, shortly before Azora and many of her followers were swallowed by the sea. Taken up by surviving Night Elves, who knew nothing of the power it truly held, it was buried with an unknown priestess in a family tomb in Azsuna, waiting to be discovered by someone that could unlock its true potential. Don't really have much to say about this one. It pretty much speaks for itself. It was a weapon, a scepter, created by Azora before she was turned into a Naga, you know, before the whole Sundering. What was surprising is that, like, it was like law back then that you don't mess around with the well. You were not allowed to touch it, but apparently Azora didn't care. And they created stuff out of it. And we're gonna, you know, unlock its potential. What I do wonder though, well, it's just, you know, you go too far in the lore. But remember how Illidan loved the Well of Eternity? And his vials? Like, is he gonna walk up to shamans and be like, you got any of the Well of Eternity water for me? I'm looking for my hit, man. It's been so long. It's been so long. But that just, you know, silly jokes aside, that just popped into my head. Was Azora a shaman though? Nope, she was a priest. Of a priest, she was a mage. Wow, Azora was a priest. No, she was a mage. I thought the well was about arcane magic, not elemental magic. Thoughts? Same here. But apparently it now applies to everything. How Azora became so powerful. Check out my story of Azora, in which I go into full details of her storyline. Basically, she was just that powerful. But maybe, just maybe, we'll get more details as to how exactly she became so powerful. Who knows? Oh, ye warlocks, and your blessings of the artifacts. For affliction, we get Ufalesh, the Deadwind Harvester. Did you see the panel, by the way? Wow. The first Necrolite to walk the world of Azeroth, Setiel was given the scythe by the Titus Sargeras himself. It grows in power as it draws souls from its victims. The Harvester earned its name as Setiel methodically drained all life from the hapless inhabitants of Deadwind Pass, creating a potent magical nexus there in the process. Hunting down Satil, the Guardian of Tirisfal turned the scythe on her, sending her soul to join those of her victims. Eventually, the Dark Riders recovered the weapon and secreted it beneath the Tower of Karazhan. Now, what I could find about Necrolites is that they were orcs trained by Gul'dan and Kil'jaeden in the way of necromancy. Very similar to how the Scourge did it later on. They could bolster their troops with the undead, and that's pretty much all I could find. We're not sure if the very first Necrolite is an orc though. For all we know, it's a demon of the Burning Legion. Considering that, you know, the Guardian is hunting for it. Could very well be, because the Guardian was like the safeguard against the Legion. And why would Sargeras make contact with an orc if Kil'jaeden was already interacting with them? So I'm not sure which female Necrolite or whatever is gonna happen there. But it's there. Now on top of that, they mentioned that the draining of life from the inhabitants of Deadwind Pass, it created a potent magical nexus. This got me thinking. Like, we know that Karazhan, the Tower of Karazhan, is like on a crisscross of ley lines, which is why it's such a powerful place. In the novel, The Last Guardian, Medivh described the entire crater and the creation of the tower. It was incredibly vague. He said that once upon a time, there was a great explosion there. And he was like talking about the explosion happened because Medivh would eventually move there, or did Medivh move there because the explosion happened? And then he was like, it doesn't matter. It was headache inducing, but I was wondering if that whole Nexus thing that they were talking about, if that was the same explosion that they described in the book. Not entirely sure, but that got me thinking. The Dark Riders hide these weapons beneath Karazhan, crypts confirmed? Yup. Well, I don't know if we're gonna go into the crypts with the Upside Down Sinners, but we're gonna go into crypts for multiple artifacts. And they even teased like a Karazhan dungeon later on, but that's just a tease, that's not confirmed. Questions, ladies and gentlemen. Who are the Dark Riders? Talked about it already, matey. Check out the VOD later on. Do you think they'll change the casting animation such a way that the artifacts become visible while casting? I hope so. That would be cool, but that's more of a technical question. I don't work for Blizzard. Don't work for Blizzard. I can just try to give you a little bit of backstory behind the artifacts, to be honest. Ooh, is it a soul well? What do you mean, Pave Baker? Don't know what you mean, matey. Yeah, no questions? Alrighty. Exciting artifact though, I have to admit. The second one. Will this make affliction logs more like necromancers? Where you're gonna be harvesting souls and then the souls are gonna pop out of your weapon and then you can kill the souls again and then you can restore your mana. It's kinda cool. So this Cypher's Frostmourne. Pretty much. But, you know, there are more weapons that can steal souls, right? Absorb souls. Like there are like a bunch of weapons in the list that absorb them. Right, next one. For Demonology. Skull of the Man'ari. Before the Eredar served the Titan Sargeras, one of their greatest leaders, Tolkien, had unprecedented skill with summoning and binding magics. Driven by ambition, he reached into the void and was answered with knowledge of dark creatures, unlike any the Eredar had seen before. His audacious power grab infuriated the Demon Lord Archimonde, who struck him down, then had his skull gilded and placed on display as a warning. Today, the Dreadlord Mephistroth used it to enhance his abilities to summon and command demon armies for the Legion. Again, we hear about that blue Dreadlord from Warcraft 3. He's gonna do something, and the wording of this description had a few people, myself included, a little bit confused. I talked about this, I'll get to it later. Now it says that Tolkien, one of the greatest leaders of the Eredar, reached into the void and was answered with knowledge of dark creatures unlike any they had seen before. Tolkien was new, as far as I know. So the question is he like before the whole Archimonde, Kil'jaeden and Velen era? Is he like a leader of the Eredar before that moment? Or was he part of the leadership but never described? Was he leading under them? Was he leading like a pocket of Eredar? Uncertain. Then he made contact with dark creatures, which is most likely demons. But then again, it could also be something, you know, in the void. Maybe he made contact with old gods or some other creature. Like, it's talked about a power grab. And if you're a demon lord like Archimonde, power grab with summoning demons, I'm not sure if that will work. Then there is the bit that's confusing. It says that the demon lord Archimonde, he was pissed about this power grab, right? And he struck Tolkien down. How is this possible when Tolkien was doing this before the Eredar joined Sargeras, before Archimonde became a demon lord? That's the confusing bit. But you can give a spin to it. You can give an explanation to it. But I hope they change the wording, but whatever. Explanation could be, you could say that this power grab took place after they joined the Legion. So first he was like a leader of the Eridar. Then he did the power grab when they joined the Legion. That's one. It could be that he was leading a group of Eridar that didn't join either Velen or Team Sargeras, like Eridar that survived the corruption of Argus. They were just hiding out there, and then Archimonde found out and struck him down. Or the wording is simply wrong, and they meant to say the future Demon Lord Archimonde or something in that direction. So yeah, you can give a spin to it, but it was a little bit of a vague description. I absolutely agree with those that asked about it and commented about it. Yeah. Skull of the Man'ari. Yeah, it's described as something twisted and unnatural, but Man'ari does not necessarily mean that you are part of the Legion. It's just the Eridar word of something twisted and unnatural. Like the skull could be twisted and unnatural on its own. It's simple time travel. Could also be a possibility, yeah. Think this one will float next to you? It seems almost like it. Like it's floating around you or something like that. It's kind of cool. Yet again, we mess with powers that can corrupt people. How can we wield artifacts like the skull now, and why now? We had big threats before too, because we grown big, man. The time is right. Transpires time and space. Archimonde killed Jaden size before they were made. Could be for sure. I thought since we will obtain some of the big heroes' weapons, will this then be the last expansion? No, not necessarily. I talked about that before in X-Zero, but it's not necessary. Simple time travel, never heard of in the Warcraft universe. Don't get me started. Alrighty, moving on. Destruction. Scepter of Sargeras. Also one that I speculate about in the Q&A. Created through incredible efforts by hundreds of Sargeras' servants, this scepter can rip open dimensional gateways between worlds. It was entombed beneath the sea for centuries, then used by the Orc Shaman Ner'zhul to open the portals that tore the world of Draenor apart, leaving behind the shattered realm of Outland. The scepter was finally secured by the elite magi of the Kirin Tor. Unable to destroy it, they hid it away in a magically protected chamber and put it under eternal watch to prevent it from ever being used again. Now the Scepter of Sargeras, what a fitting artifact for the destruction spec. Because this baby can destroy. If you want to compare like the power of the artifacts, this is freaking the Scepter of Sargeras. So if you really want to compare it, I think that the Warlocks like won this round. Now, last we saw of this artifact was when Ner'zhul used it to create his rifts all across Draenor, and he was ready to go to the so-called Promised Land. And the planet by this time was already corrupted by the demonic influences and all that. And all these rifts made it incredibly unstable and eventually turned the planet from Draenor into Outland as we know it today. Now I had to pick up the book, and it doesn't directly describe it, but it does imply that Ner'zhul was holding the staff as he went through his portal. Some way, somehow, the Kirin Tor still secured the staff. Like, there is no mention of the staff afterwards. Like, Khadgar's there and he doesn't mention the staff. So it could be that they found it in the Twisting Nether somewhere. Because after this moment, Ner'zhul was taken by Kil'jaeden and turned into the Lich King. Or perhaps it was still on the Black Temple and they found it there. You'll find more details about all of this with the staff of the Scepter of Sargeras coming Monday in the Story of Ner'zhul Part 2. With a beautiful, beautiful cinematic, or machinima, made by Kalis herself. That's coming Monday. Any questions? Are you excited we will get some explanation to the multi-one verse thing? Yep, very excited. No repair cost, unable to destroy it, yep. Have you done, nope, not yet. Cool artifacts, but where the hell is the chamber? It would have to be on Outland, right? If you mean the chamber where you find the artifact, could be in Dalaran, somewhere. Super rare item drops? Let me just need that, right? Mind if I roll need? Why should Ner'zhul get the stuff from Sargeras? Kil'jaeden don't like Ner'zhul, and why should he need the other artifacts for his gateways? Well, the Scepter of Sargeras was found within the Tomb of Sargeras, and the Tomb of Sargeras was by Aegwynn. Aegwynn battled with the Avatar of Sargeras. She locked away his avatar in the tomb, including the Eye of Sargeras, including the Scepter of Sargeras. That was all locked away in the Tomb of Sargeras. Then Gul'dan showed up. This is when Gul'dan stepped away from the Horde, when I just talked about Orgrim Doomhammer. He rose up the Broken Isles, where we're gonna party at, and he went into the Tomb of Sargeras. Now, Gul'dan didn't make it out alive, but Ner'zhul's lackeys, like Ner'zhul's allies, they were able to collect the Scepter of Sargeras. They brought it back to Ner'zhul, and they used it. You'll get more details coming Monday. Artifact connected with the Violet Hold? Maybe. Like, we're gonna discover secrets, for sure. Is the stuff that Ner'zhul has in Shadowmoon Valley the same? No. No. Alrighty. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen. 2 seconds. 2 seconds, alrighty. Almost there, everybody. Ooh, warriors. Warriors. I am very excited about the warriors artifacts, by the way. For arms warriors, we have Stromkar, the Warbreaker. This great sword was born into combat by the barbarian warlord who first united humanity under a single banner, founding the nation of Arathor. A master tactician and strategist, King Thoradin went on to play a critical role in the ending of the Troll Wars. Later, the sword was lost while it was being used to subdue a Kefraxi monstrosity in a forgotten tomb beneath Tirisfal. Abandoned and all but forgotten, Stromkar has been slowly drinking from the shadowy power there for over thousands of years. Alrighty, hands up. Who's excited to wield the freaking weapon from King Thoradin? King Thoradin is the guy that brought the humans together under one banner, allied with the freaking High Elves as they went against the Troll Wars. This is, oh, so freaking cool. So freaking cool. So, I was honestly gasping when reading this description. I think this is very excited. Now, I don't have a clue what the Kefraxi is. No idea what the Kefraxi is. Like, some speculate that it's a combination of the old god Kefun with the Klaxi. Maybe it's a bug race connected to the old god N'Zoth, his own very bug race. Who knows what it might be, but we do know that there's some darkness now beneath Tirisfal, which this blade's been drinking from for so many years. We'll probably see it pop up, at least a corpse or something, during this questline. More stuff hidden beneath Tirisfal Glades. Really? Nobody excited about this weapon? Wow. Alrighty, I was excited about it. Any questions about the weapon, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, there are a couple of people. Alright, a couple of people. You think that the Kefraxi thing is what Locust sent off the tier? Could very be possible. Do you think because of this description we have found out what is under the glades? Parts of it, yeah. Do you think the questline will involve Dawn of Trollbane? I hope so, man. That would be very fitting. I wanted Exoscenarius. I've heard from that from people as well. But it could very well be that they want to use the Exoscenarius and mainly Fura in the whole Emerald Nightmare storyline that they got going on. That could be a reason. But yeah. But not the look of the actual sword. Alrighty. Well, I guess if you don't like the look of it, you can always transmog it, I suppose. Righto. King Thoradin, he was the... I've talked about the origin of the humans in a couple of Q&As. But basically, back in the day, the humans were pretty much like the orcs. They lived in several clans. You know, they were waging war with each other from time to time. But Thoradin realized that they had to come together. So what he did, he took his clan and he just started to kick the crap out of everybody. Like, he offered them sanctum within his clan if they accepted it willingly. But if they didn't, they would just kick the crap out of them and absorb them into the clan, making a massive faction. The first formation of the humans. They became such a large army that the High Elves, and these High Elves are descendants of the Night Elves, they had magic and all this good shit. They were fighting a war with the Trolls because they built up Quel'Thalas under like sacred troll grounds. Trolls were not happy, and the High Elves were like, uh-oh. We gotta do something. So they made contact with Thoradin, who by this time had like a massive army. Like, sure, I'll join ya. You teach 100 of my people magic, I think it was 100, and we'll join ya. So they teamed up, and they kicked the crap out of the Trolls, and this legacy, this alliance between High Elf and the early humans, this flowed into the first Orcus Horde invasion, because if you remember Anduin Lothar is the descendant of Thoradin, right? So when Lothar showed up, King Terenas, I think it was King Terenas anyways, made contact with the High Elves to honor their debt. And that is why the High Elves, at first they sent like a token force to help out the Alliance to fight against the Horde. Illyria Windrunner volunteered to join them. And then later when they realized that shit was actually real, they Send more troops. So that's, in a nutshell, the story behind Thoradin. Right. Almost last one, everybody. Come on. Come on, you can't tell me that you're not excited for this one. This one is actually, out of all of them, this one is the one that makes me most curious about the lore behind it. But, before we go, for Fury Warriors, War Swords of Valajar. In ages past, the Titanic Watcher Keeper Odin betrayed the sorceress Helia, killing her and twisting her spirit into a spectral Valkyr. He forged this pair of swords for the mightiest of his storm-forced Valajar, but Helia stole the swords and infused them with a portion of her rage. She then gave them to her own champion, who used them to hunt the greatest of heroes and drag their souls all the way to serve in Helheim. These swords stir their owner into unrelenting and punishing attacks that overcome a target's defenses and leave no opening for counterattacks. Now, like I said, this one is really interesting to me. Now, here we read about a new Titanic Watcher, similar to the ones that we talked about earlier, like Tyr, Loken, Thorim, all of them. This one is named Odin, and apparently he betrayed a sorceress named Helia. They said that we'd be introduced to 2 Titan Keepers during Legion. Now, this one has been confirmed. This is Odin. But I'm still looking for the second one. Could it be that the sorceress that they described, that Helia was a Titan Keeper? Could it be that Tyr is going to be showing up? Or is there going to be a whole different Titan Keeper? We're not exactly sure. That's all up for speculation. You know, we've been told that Tyr died, but maybe he's still going to make an appearance. Who knows? Now, this is going to connect to the whole Helheim dungeon thing. Go into hell. Heroes be dragged back. We'll probably face off against Helia's champion to get this weapon. And it's all new lore. And I'm so freaking excited to find out what exactly is this all about. You know, Helia and Odin and... Oh, yeah, I know that Tyr is dead, everybody. But it doesn't mean that you can't see him appear like a vision or a body. Or if you remember Dawn of the Aspects, I talked about this earlier. During that novel, Tyr's image actually showed up. Or at least they speculated it was Tyr's image. So just because something is dead doesn't necessarily mean you won't have to see him. That's what I'm more talking about. But that's purely speculation. Cool lore, but I would have preferred a better model. Alrighty. Oh, I get it. I think there's no debating taste, I suppose. But I just thought that this lore, like this whole spectral Valkyr thing, a sorceress, like, betrayed, and then she turns on us. I thought that was so cool. I liked it, but I thought Charlemagne would be the Fury artifact since Varian might kick the bucket. The moment that we saw the cinematic, where he was... I'm not gonna go into the cinematic today, but when I was sitting there at the panel and he split up Charlemagne, I was like, yes, please, by all, please give me that. But unfortunately, no. Alrighty, last one, everybody. Last one. And yeah, don't forget that this is only one model, eh? There are going to be, like, different models for the artifacts. You can change the look of him. This is the last one. For protection, Scale of the Earth Warder. An impenetrable shield crafted from a scale of the Black Dragon aspect, Neltharion the Earth Warder, before the old god's corruption overcame him. The formidable Vraiko King Magnar Icebreaker carried this shield into combat and won victory after victory in the face of grim odds. When he finally fell in battle, it was due to treachery by servants of the Valkyr Helia. The shield is now entombed with King Magnar's body in the Path of Kings in Stormheim. Path of Kings, Stormheim, there you go. Now this is again with the whole Helia bit. She doesn't seem like a very pleasant Valkyr. Now most of you know Neltharion, the Earth Warder. You know him as Deathwing. This is before he was corrupted, and this shield was created out of one of his skills, from his skills, so... They also mentioned, like, Rephion. They asked, like, will Rephion show up in Legion? And they said, like, Neltharion's lair will be interesting for him, but he won't look as we remember him. So, Rephion is probably going to be grown up a little bit. He was in whelp form, and he's now probably going to be a little bit bigger. But yeah, I don't have much more to say about this artifact. Like I said, this is new lore, so bring it on. I'm excited. And that's the last one, everybody. Does anybody have questions about the Scale of the Earth Warder? How did he get his skill? They don't specify. It could be granted to him, because it was before Deathwing was corrupted. It could be that he found it in the War of the Ancients novel. Illidan actually also found a skill of Deathwing, and he used it to find the lair and get to the whole Demon Soul bit, or Dragon Soul. Remember when we speculated what had happened to the Shards of Frostmourne? Not anymore. Are you okay? I'm perfect, UDL. Thank you very much for asking, matey. The lore for warrior weapons is good, but the model is so ugly. All of them, though? Nomad, all of them? You don't like any of them? Alright. Do you think we'll see Nefarian's lair? Yeah, it's gonna be, a dungeon, right? I think it's gonna be a dungeon, but it's gonna be part of it. Deathwing is dead. As in Warcraft dead. Yeah. Who is King Magnar? Let's see if he has a Wikipedia page. I don't think so, otherwise I would have probably made a note. But let me see if I can. I wonder if he's like... No. Doesn't look like he has a Wikipedia page. So it doesn't look like there's like confirmed story behind him. I was wondering if he's like the king of the new stone creatures that we're gonna face. That's stolen the artifact of the High Tauren. The High Mountain. Yeah, man. We be the High Tauren. Crappy jokes aside, no. I think with that, we can call it a day. We have covered each and every one of them, ladies and gentlemen. Like, this was just my glimpse into it. I hope you enjoyed it. I know that a lot of people have already covered this information. I hope I was able to give you a little bit of side story, a little bit of backstory to give you an understanding of where this all come from. And for me, it's also good training because, you know, I need to catch up on the information and, you know, it's just good training. I love you, chat room. Thank you so very much for the questions that you gave me. Don't forget, tomorrow I'll be on, well, if you watch this on YouTube, it's probably going to be yesterday or whatever. I'm going to be on Final Boss TV podcast where we're going to talk about Legion together with Preach. So that should be a lot of fun. So yeah, everybody, I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you all very much for joining me. And I hope to see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye. Favorite artifact? Ashbringer. But excited about Fury Warrior, because damn that lore.